Then, first of all, I would like to thank IMéRA, and not only the institution, also the people. It's a pleasure for me to be here and share this opportunity with all of you. It's very nice because then when you see one talk and the other, there's such a change on topics and approaches, and that is very, very illuminating, right? Then, and in this I have to apologize. And I am an economist. Then economists will tend to be very boring. And then I will talk about statistics, numbers, and that's not interviews, and there is a lot of colors. And I put some blue in my slides, but that's the only. Perhaps there is some red somewhere, some picture.
Not the questions, huh? Not the questions.
No questions at all. I will save you my questions. That I learned from Raouf. I can't tell you. Okay, then I will talk about this general topic, skill obsolescence, but I hope I will be clear enough about the meaning of this. And you will see. It's something that some way touches all of us. And, where is this here? No? Let me just introduce some concepts in order to tell what I want to tell. Then, I'm a growth theorist, and I was working in subjects related to technical progress for years now. I did many papers with Raouf. Then it's a topic that I think I know something. And then what I will, and the paper is about the role of technical progress on what is called economic obsolescence. And why I'm talking about that? Because technical progress is fundamental to understand the evolution of our economy. The fact that we can richer and richer is because we are able to produce better and better technologies. And this is technical progress, right? But technical progress has a bad side that is in the that comes from Schumpeter at the beginning of the 20th century. Is the idea that technical progress create new things, but by doing so destroy other things, right? That's the idea of creative destruction. Then the price we pay for new technologies is that the old technologies become obsolete. Yeah? You say, why should I wonder? Because of the fact that I have an old computer that now is not as good. It's as good as it was, but there is this new one that is so funny, fancy, that I would like to buy and substitute for my old computer. Of course, my computer don't mind at all, right? And I will put it on a shelf, and they will remain there until I will throw it. Yeah? That's not the same thing for people, and this is what I would like to talk today, right? It's the idea that there is also this effect on people. And not only machines become obsolete, people become obsolete. And I will try to give my view on this issue and to show some data on how it is taking place and what other phenomena are related to, right? And then what I will do is to talk about I see that's the OM. I went yesterday to watch the match, and my grandkid offered it to me, this with the colors of the OM, and I'm sorry for that. Then I will talk about the effect of technical progress on the labor market, yeah? Then on people. Then let me first define some objects to be clear about what I will say later. And then I will first talk about what occupations are and what the skills are. Then if you think on our society, our economy, then people that work, what they do is they perform a job. Right? And what's a job? A job is a set of tasks that need to be performed. And I'm a professor, I'm supposed to do research, I'm supposed to be here talking, I'm supposed to teach. These are the tasks that I have to perform as a professor. Right? In the statistics, these information jobs are organized in what's called occupations. Then there is a guy in the statistical office that tries to, in a general way, identify all possible jobs where I will put them on a classification. And that's called occupations. Right? Occupation is just a classification of jobs. Yeah? The other concept that's important is the concept of skills. What are skills? Are the knowledge or abilities that an individual needs in order to perform a job, right? Or an occupation. Yeah? Then this literature will relate skills with occupation. But skills is something that is embodied in the individual, right? It's not something that's embodied in the occupation. The occupation is a set of tasks. But in order to perform these tasks, an individual needs to have some skills, right? This is the key idea. And then the point is, and I have to apologize for a second time today, and we have to value, economists like valuing things, right? Why? Because when you have to take a decision, it's important that you take the decisions that are important, right? Those that have a large value. Yeah? And in this case, what we try to is to identify how to value skills. Yeah? And the standard way is that we use wages, right? And I have some skills as a professor, and the universities are looking for professors, and then at some point they will offer me a pay that will value my skills. Yeah? And that's the way that, of course, I think that Alicia will not agree with me, because there is a lot of value things that are not very well paid. And I fully agree, right? I fully agree. But as an economist, let me take wages as a way of valuing the skills of people. Yeah? But the important point here is that wages and then the value of skills are a market object. It's not something that is inherent to the skills themselves. It's not something that is permanent. Of course, my skills are. I can lose them if I stop doing research. I can improve them through research. But my skills are what they are. I know how to do some things. I'm good for doing some. I'm bad for doing others. But the value of these skills is not only what I'm able to do. It's not my vector of characteristics of skills. It's if the others like them, if they need it, or that would determine the value. Then in this sense, we say that the value of skills is determined by the market forces. Yeah? And then that's an example I used to, but I think this thing is very clear. Then think on writing and reading. In our days, almost everybody is literate. That's a skill that everybody has no value, because it doesn't make any difference between me and the others. At the beginning of the 20th century, writing and reading, my God, very few people were able to. That was a very, very valuable skill. Then this is the role of technical progress. Not only because there is education behind too, but education is part of the system of creating knowledge and technology. Yeah? Then what I want to mean is that the skills is something that is inherent to the individual, that is there, but the value of this skill may evolve over time because the technology requires them or not. And this is the following point in my. Then technologies, in technical progress, create and destroy jobs, and then create and destroy the value of skills. Yeah? The value of skills is technologically dependent. And it's very easy to find. The writing and reading is an example, but you can find hundreds of examples of the skills that were highly valued in the past, but today nobody is interested in. And people are able to do exactly what they were able to do before, but today they have no value. Yeah? And that's what we call skill obsolescence, right? And technical progress will value new skill by render all skill obsolete. Yeah? That's the idea of skill obsolescence. And that's very important, because even if technical progress is something great, it's something very good for the society, yet that will take a long while for people to adjust. Yeah? And it has to do with the relative dynamic. I don't remember if I think I was thinking, education. Then, of course, there is education and training. Yeah? This is a way through which individuals acquire skills. But this basically takes place when you are young. And you decide to become an engineer when you are 18. And then at 24, 25, you're an engineer, and you're an engineer all your life. You can move from one particular field of engineering to another, but you are highly constrained. Right? And normally when suppose that you're very good at something, that suddenly disappears, nobody's interested, and then you are 50. Of course, you can retrain. But you will retrain for 15 years working? the return of doing it is very small. It's much lower than the guy that is 20. Then people have a very high incentive when they are 50 of not retraining. Right? When you're 40, you may think perhaps, but it's even more difficult. It's your brain capacity of flexibility is not the same when you're 40 than when you're 20. And starting something completely new at 40 is not the same. It's very costly, the return is lower, the people tend not to do. The education fundamentally takes place at very young ages. Right? What I want to mean by that is that if you think on the dynamics of technical progress and demographics, these two things have a completely different dimension. When you're 20, you think that the future is, I don't know, in IT, then you decide to go for IT, but it may be that in 20 years, nobody talks about IT because there is I don't know what, right? It's genetics, yeah? And everything is about genetics. The guys that today are doing IT in 20 years will be completely obsolete. But nobody knows it now, right? But for 40 years, you will be completely stuck in your decision when you want IT. And these different dynamics generate very important effects on the value of skills. You cannot easily retrain. It's not true. That's not true. Right? Then that's to give you some examples. It's for fun. Right? Then you see the guy in the left of the screen. This occupation, this guy was called a knocker up. The guy was waking people up in the morning. At the time, there were no clocks at home. Right? You needed to be awake very early, but there was no clock.
In which place? Not in England.
I don't know. Likely, I looked to be, but I don't know.
We don't have this much here.
And then these other guys are ice harvesting. There were no fridge at the time. Then in the north of Europe, or the US, they were harvesting ice in order to bring it home and to be able to cold some stuff, right? Of course, that does not exist anymore. And this I know, because I learned to type on a typewriter, right? That, of course, you don't need typists anymore. And everybody types in the computer this stuff. Yeah? And these two examples are more related to what will follow. And this is related to what is called as production occupations. This young lady is a cotton mill operator. They don't exist anymore. And these guys here are newspaper press operators. And it's interesting because you see these guys are producing things. That's called production occupation. One is the manufacturing sector, the other is the service sector. They produce newspapers and the other produce textile. Yeah? Then now I will go to the heart of our research. Is the idea that what we call the skill obsolescence hypothesis. Then technical progress creates and destroys skills, and by doing so, it modifies the demand for skills. Right? And for the new skills, there will be an increase in demand. For the skills that are being destroyed, there will be a decrease in demand, and that will have effects, yeah, in the economy. Yeah? But as a consequence, for those skills that are now less demanded, people have to do something. Then the labor supply will react. Yeah? And then this reaction of the labor supply will also have an effect. Yeah? I think I already said that it takes 40 years to fully replace the labor force. And this effect will be very important when you go to the data, because we started, I was working with this stuff of obsolescence. And when you start on it, you're only paying attention to the demand shock. But in the labor, and why? Because machines don't go to the market and look for a job, right? And a machine that becomes obsolete, they're destroyed. It's very easy. That's not the case with workers. And people need to work, right? Then these people have some way to react in the labor market. And then I will talk about the ways these people react in the labor market. That on one side you have the old workers will retire, that's good, because they have the old skills, but, well, they're not more in the labor force. And you have the newcomers. The young people coming, they have the new skills, because they go to the university now, yeah? Or whatever, any type of training. Yeah? Then you have the group of people there keep attached to their jobs, knowing that there are losses in jobs, likely wages will go down, these people will keep working in their occupation, but in worse conditions than before. And then you have the others that move. And what we call refuge occupations, those occupations to which people that lose their job, for which they were skilled, but the value of their skill now is lower, they move to occupations, of course, they require less skills. Right? If you don't train again, the only thing you can do is you become a janitor, or I don't know, or you just fill stuff in the supermarket, or you see, jobs that require no skills, or very low skills. Then, and I'm now repeating, the skill obsolescence is the destruction side of technical progress. In the other side, you have skill creation, of course, that's a good side of technical progress. And you have this other reaction that is the supply side reaction, that is the fact that there are some occupations that become refuge. And it's very interesting to see, because in the United States, you see a lot of very, very low-skilled jobs, no qualified jobs that you don't see in Europe. Why? Because the labor market is more flexible, and then you can pay very low wages for things that in Europe you can't, right? And that's a way that in the American labor market, it implies that there are jobs for which the wages are very low. In Europe, you have unemployment. People become unemployed. Spain is the paradoxical case. The employment rate almost never goes down from 10%. Yeah? And the point, and this is the hypothesis that I will formulate in the following slide, the hypothesis relates on how do demand and supply react to technical progress, and how occupations react. And then I insist on this idea that the value of skills and the keeping in touch. Then let me now, I will be slightly forward. Then let me think on the Cartesian plane. I have in the horizontal axis is the change in, I think I cannot read it from here. That's the growth rate of employment. I would plot here the different occupations from the American US statistics. In the horizontal axis, you have the growth rate of employment in a particular occupation, and in the vertical axis, the growth rate of wages in a particular occupation. Right? And then we took the BLS data, and I will show you later, but the idea is the following, that's the hypothesis. Then if we represent the occupations as dots in this space, what we'll expect is that new technologies create jobs, then there will be more employment, larger wages, then this occupation will be on the top right. Then the destruction will be on the bottom left. This occupation that there is a lot of people working on it, but now nobody's demanding, or the demand went down. Employment will go down, but wages will go down too, because the value of these skills goes down. And then there is the refuge occupations. The refuge occupations are those guys that, given that they lose their job here, they're looking jobs in lower skill jobs. And for this occupation, you will observe that there is an increase in employment because of the supply side, but wages likely will go down, if up not much. Right? This is the idea, and this is just describing it. And then I would expect not to have any occupation there in the let's see, right top. Yeah? And I will show you later in the data. Yeah? Okay, this is the hypothesis. The hypothesis is that if there is technical progress, I should observe that those occupations for which technical progress is increasing their demand, they will be on the top left. Those that are being destroyed, they will be on the bottom right, and the refuge occupation will be in the bottom left, and nothing or almost nothing in the. Of course, statistically there's always a reason why you have some outliers, right? And, nobody in the other quadrant. Right? Let me go to the data. And then I will avoid details on the statistics sources. Yeah? But these are the American data. It's a 3-digit occupation. These are occupations, a 3-digit. You see that the hypothesis is there. Yeah? On the bottom left, basically we have high-skilled services. These are medical doctors, engineers, CEOs, these guys are there. Here, what you have is fundamentally production occupations. These occupations are related mainly to the manufacturing sector. And here you have lower-skilled services, fundamentally. I will give you a more, say, aggregated representation later. Yeah? But then, our idea seems to be in the data. Yeah? The second thing we did is we tried to relate it to the literature to some way related topics. One is called job polarization, and I will tell you what job polarization is. And the other is what's called a structural transformation or structural change. That sociologists know what I'm talking about. And there was the idea of job polarization, and it comes to a paper by these two guys, Otter and Dorn. Then that's the statistics. I will not be very precise on that. The only thing is that what these guys do is they take the occupations in 1980 and they rank them by wages. Each occupation has an average wage, they rank them by wages. And they say the value of the skills associated with each occupation is given by the wage. Then those with the highest value are the high-skilled occupation. Those with the lower wage are the lower-skilled occupation. Right? And then what they do is they organize the information in a nice filter way. That's by computing employment and wage changes for each occupation. Then they have 1980 as a reference point and 2005 at the point of comparison, and they compute the growth rate of wages and employment for all these occupations at these two periods, and then they represent them, and this is the representation. Right? Then in the horizontal axis, you have the value of the skills of the occupation by percentiles, and 0 means the lower percentile, 100 means the higher percentile. These are the high skill, these are the lower skill. And then there you have the change in wages, and here you have the change in employment. And what you see, and it was striking at the time, is that there is an increase in both wages and employment at the extremes of the occupation, and then a decline in the center of the distribution. Right? That's what they call job polarization. It's as if jobs were moving from the middle skills to the low and high skills. Yeah? And the basic story these people tell has to do with what they call automatization. They claim that, and they work with the data to analyze it, that there is a lot of occupations that are have a high content of routinary jobs. And automatization, what basically does is destroy this skill. Mm-hmm. And these occupations are in the middle of the skill value, in the middle of the distribution. Right? Then what we asked at the time is, then what is the relation between these two, our theory and their theory? And it's funny because then we asked the guys the data, and we find something that we cannot explain yet, and this is figure here. This is the representation of the Otter-Dorn data in our employment changes and wages changes. And what you have there at the top is the high skill. Then it's going down with the skills. It turns, it's a sort of alpha. I don't know why. You see, that's the type of thing we like to explain in our. But what is very clear is that there is an increase in wages and employment for the high skill occupations. The middle skill occupations are in the worst possible situation with a high decline in employment and wages, and then it turns. Not much in wages, right? But there is an increase in employment at some point, and then wages don't perform as bad for these other occupations. And these are the lowest skill, basically lowest skill service occupation.
American context again.
Yeah, that's American context. Yeah. Then the second, I think it's taking me too much time. The second branch of the literature is the literature on structural transformation or structural change. Yeah? Then the idea in this literature, what we know is that in the development process, the share of employment in agriculture is strongly reduced, and I will show you a picture there. It's for those that don't know the data, it's really striking. The share of manufacturing increases at the beginning and then goes down. It's a sort of hand-shaped behavior. And the share of services permanently increases. And these are the data. I have the data there. Give a look to the left column. Then the top is agriculture, then the middle is manufacturing, and the bottom is services. And what you have here is GDP per capita, measured in some unit, right, but it's increasing. And then you have the share of employment in each sector. As you can see, then at the very low stages of development, almost all employment is agriculture. And then it goes down. In the United States today, it's 2%. Then you feed everybody with 2% of the population, which is incredibly good. And then manufacturing goes up until 40%, it depends on the country, and then down. And services is becoming almost everything, and it's 80% today. Right? 80% of people work in the service sector. Yeah? Then what are the main explanations? They are related to these two evidence. One is that when you try to figure out what is the rate of technical progress in the different sectors, what you observe is that it's faster in agriculture, then in manufacturing, then in services. Then what you see is that in order to produce the same quantity of goods that we were producing before, you need less and less workers in the agricultural sector, less workers in the manufacturing sector, and some less workers in the service sector. But on the other side, what you observe is that when society becomes richer, they move their consumption from something that you can call the subsistence demand or subsistence consumption to some more luxury consumption. Right? If you go to the United States, the sectors that are pumping on healthcare and any service related to taking care of people or restoration. You see that things that in the past we consider to be luxury, today we don't consider to be luxury. But then when you combine these two things, you need less workers in agriculture, but you spend less in agricultural goods. Right? It has to be that employment in the agricultural sector just shrink. And then how does it relate with our story? Yeah? The first thing is that if you give a look to employment in occupation, you see that it's highly concentrated in very few industries. Right? Something as the mean occupation just serves 3 industries, and 3 digits then among hundreds of industries. Right? Then it's highly, highly concentrated. On the other side is that if you do, and this is the other figure here. This is the right-hand side, right-hand column, is that if instead of analyzing industry, you analyze occupation and you classify occupation by their nature, if it's an occupation that clearly is agriculture or clearly manufacturing or clearly services, you get the same. What's going on in sectors going on in occupations too. Right? There are more and more people doing activities that are clearly in services. And then things behave exactly the same way. Right? Then it has to be that these things are related. Yeah, that's what, and I'm trying to accelerate. Yeah. And then just to, in this picture, what we did is just to relate in some way the 3 things, right? This is our plane, Cartesian plane. Then in the top you have the very high skill service occupation. These are CEOs, professionals, and what's the other? I cannot read. This is the very, very top service-oriented occupation. These are the very low skill service occupation. And here you have the production occupation. And then what we are trying to do is just to come with more clear evidence, because this is, you see, in economics, I show it to my colleagues, say, okay, but that's not necessarily statistically significant, and then you have to come with much more convincing evidence. And on the other hand, we're working for a good theory, because in economics you don't have a theory. You see, you come with a nice story, that's the role of people as well. They are
Anyway.
proving complicated things. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.